Hey, this is Kevin with the Comics Crowd bringing you what's new in Kickstarter comics for January 19th and 20th, 2025. Well, you might want to sit down for this one, but not a single not safe for work comic of any sort dropped on Kickstarter this past weekend, which is remarkable simply for the fact that over a 2-day period, such an occurrence is a true rarity. As we've learned to expect, project launches slow on the weekends, and this past Saturday and Sunday were no different. With just 10 total launches across the 2 days, one would predict a scant few worthwhile prospective comics to rise from the lot. However, this week delivered a majority of drops that reached comic-I-like heights. A quick review of those that didn't, and we're on our way. There were some projects that simply don't offer sufficient information or proof of concept or production to warrant a pledge. These include Sentinel Max Comic, 130 pages of comic brilliance, I beg to differ, and The Thresher, Issue 1. Neither one of these offered any interior art samples at all, and The Thresher also didn't include any cover art. There was just no art whatsoever except for a mock-up Kickstarter page cover image. And we found an AI-generated dummy comics campaign with an initial funding goal of $95,000, really, and a Kickstarter page consisting solely of AI-generated movie posters. It included not a single word of story description, nor did it show a solitary image of cover or interior art. This one was called The Return of Stone Yeager. Stay away. There was a project called In Between the Trees, a queer comic you can't miss, which displays all the basic elements of a complete comic, but the art quality and overall production values are wanting compared with the 6 projects that outpaced it to comic-I-like status. And those are, we'll start with a book called Dead Tech, Issue 1 and 2 by Newcomb Comics. In a tech-driven future, the seed implant meant to enhance human capacities, but created a living nightmare instead. That's verbatim, so I'm not responsible for grammatical errors in the subtitles. The seed implant connected smart devices directly to their human users and made it easier than ever to monitor health, collect information, and retain data and memories. But the tainted implant destroyed, then reactivated the brain, resulting in flesh-hungry, insatiable, undead monsters. Read as zombies. Honestly, taking a glance at this one, I think it's being overlooked so far. When I checked earlier, it only had 14 backers, and it definitely deserves more than that. It has an initial funding goal of $500, which it hasn't met yet. Has an end date of February 18th, estimated delivery month of April 2025. Of course, it didn't specify the number of pages. That's an epidemic right now. Has a lowest digital tier price of $3, lowest print tier price of $5. I was really impressed with the kind of epic level cover art design on this book. Reminded me of some image horror comics and the quality of design on the covers. And it had a really detailed, dynamic grayscale interior art style that I really dug. Very well-drawn book. Take a look. Then there's The Ballad of Utopia by Mike Hoffman, a gothic Western graphic novel. We're offering a special remastered edition of Ballad of Utopia with tons of extras. That's their byline, not mine. And this is really a remarkable value for the volume of content offered. We're talking about a 186-page graphic novel here, with the lowest digital tier price of $12 and a lowest print tier price of $25. That's a really good value for Kickstarter land. The initial funding goal is $111, the starting low. It has an end date of January 25th, which is just 3 days from now. It's a very quick turnaround. Estimated delivery month of February 2025. It's also a very quick turnaround. You're going to get this book fast. And it has really classic pulp cover art and design and gorgeous grayscale interiors. There's a lot of grayscale books coming out recently and black and white books. And these comics look terrific. I think the classic magazine feel, the kind of pulp feel that you get from good grayscale or black and white art is often overlooked. And we're seeing some creators go back to that and work it really nicely. Next up is Macabre Tales No. 2, a horror anthology comic book by Mysterious Books Hawaii. Now, this is unique as it's 6 horror stories from Hawaii, a 40-page comic book. Not sure that I've seen any Hawaii-specific horror before, so it's interesting to check it out. Known as a cultural melting pot, Hawaii is rich with many different stories from the folklore and mythology of its people. Japanese, Filipino, Chinese, Polynesian, and Native Hawaiian stories blend and transform into something unique and sometimes even horrifying. Again, really great grayscale interior art on this book. Very intriguing to look at, very inviting art, and solid cover art and design as well. Initial funding goal of $850, end date of February 17th, estimated delivery in April. It's a 40-page comic with a lowest digital tier price of $10 and a lowest print tier price of $10. So the only difference is you're going to pay shipping on the print tier. But that's good value for that book. Next up is Closet World by Matt Yoakum. A young boy holds the key to reality, sparking a race between heaven and hell through time, forests, and castles. An all-ages graphic novel that whisks readers away on a thrilling adventure through portals of time and space. At the heart of the story is little Johnny, a young boy who mistakenly receives the reality input generator, a device capable of controlling all of reality. It's really nice to see a well-put-together all-ages comic on Kickstarter. It's a rare thing to find. We see those from what I call the dreamers every once in a while. These are folks that come to Kickstarter with an idea for a comic, but without an actual comic in hand to distribute to the backers, or without the skills to do so, and that is not the case with Closet World. Matt Yoakum's got a really great looking comic here. Very simple, effective cover art and design, and great interior art as well. It's a really good looking book, very stylized art, very attractive to look at. And if you've got kids or know somebody that's got kids that like comics, please support this one. This is an underrepresented genre on Kickstarter, the all ages bracket. Got an initial funding goal of $6,500, so that's ambitious. An end date of February 19th, estimated delivery in May. Another one that doesn't specify the number of pages, but the lowest digital tier price is $9. The lowest print tier price is $25. And I will use the English translation on this next one. It's out of Mexico, so it's Spanish language. It's The Changelings, Volume 1 by Joshua Hernandez. We are looking to raise funds to produce part 1 of 2 of the story of Raul, a boy transforms into the Nahual Zolo of Ecatepec. Did my best on the pronunciation there. I think I got it right. This is a story of Raul, a 17-year-old boy who lives in Ecatepec, who travels to Mexico City every day to study and work. He would be a normal boy, except that he can transform into a Zolo Suwente, Nahual. That's my best effort there. An animal that, according to ancient beliefs, accompanied the dead into the underworld. So that's a really cool concept. I love books where we're getting horror from other cultures besides just American culture, which is usually cinema culture for us here in the U.S. So this is a really interesting concept. Like I said, it's a Spanish language comic, ships from Mexico. So keep that in mind when you're backing. Has an initial funding goal of $1,877 with an end date of March 2nd, estimated delivery in May. This is a big book, 300 pages with the lowest digital tier price of $8. You're going to be hard-pressed to find 300 pages for $8 anywhere else on Kickstarter or at a comic shop or anywhere else. That's super good value, even for a PDF. The lowest print tier price is $25. Again, super cheap for the amount of story and art that you're getting. Very simple, very effective cover art and design. And we've got another grayscale book here that looks just as good as the others. Let's support these mostly horror books that are getting back to basics with grayscale and black and white art. I really like it. Next up is Cocaine Stripper Stronghold issue number 1 by Josh Nealis. Okay, this sounds like a not safe for work title, and to an extent it is, but this is not a porn comic. This is not somebody transforming public domain IP or characters from children's stories into sexualized characters. This is a story. Jump into Jane's World. This prequel comic to the raunchy zombie comedy novel reveals the journey from city slicker to desert empress. So it's a raunchy comedy where a horde of zombie businessmen and a biker gang attack a brothel because, well, they like cocaine and strippers. So this is a comedy book, fun off-the-wall story concept. It's got really cool retro cover art and design, solid classic interior art, color, and composition. Has an initial funding goal of $500 with an end date of February 18th. Estimated delivery in March. Also doesn't specify the number of pages. But get this, the lowest digital tier price is $3. You're not going to beat that on Kickstarter, not for any amount of pages. Lowest print tier price, $6. That's on the dirt cheap end for Kickstarter these days. So not only does it look good, but the price is right on this comic. So please give it your attention and support these comics that are giving you more bang for your buck. You know it's a rare day on Kickstarter when every single project launched in the comics category features a legit story told via sequential art. No AI phishing campaigns, no porn cover mills with filler pages in between, no big dreamers who make nothing, no pinup books, no trading cards, no super creators hogging search bandwidth, just actual comics. That's what happened yesterday. They're not all perfect or even keepers, but they check the essential boxes to be called a comic book. 2 projects fall somewhat short of the others, but might be of interest if you particularly like supernatural or fantasy comics. Those are Shaka, Nephilim Curse Volume 1, and Blood Magic Tales. That leaves 5, count them, 5, comics campaigns that heartily deserve the Comic I Like badge. I mean, January is truly delivering the goods when it comes to quality options for real comics. Let's start off with Who Killed Sarah Shaw, a true crime-inspired graphic novel by Marcus Jimenez. 2 struggling true crime content creators insert themselves into a 40-year-old cold case, but secrets like to stay buried. Jess and Dave insert themselves into a 40-year-old cold case. Can they solve Sarah Shaw's murder, or will they end up in an early grave like her? This is really one of the most professional-looking comics I've seen on Kickstarter. I like this so much that I backed it. This one is another that goes back to the basics of grayscale interior art and composition, very detailed, very sharp. The softcover edition is digest size format, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. The hardcover edition is standard comic size. Has an initial funding goal of $5,000 and end date of February 10th, 2025, with estimated delivery in April. It's 120 pages, so that's a beefy graphic novel. Lowest digital tier price of $12, spot on for 120 pages. Lowest print tier price of $20. So I highly recommend checking this one out. Just the artwork honestly reminded me of the early days of The Walking Dead. Then we've got Cthulhu vs. Uncle Sam numbers 1 and 2 by Scott Harris. America's first and greatest hero battles the ultimate evil, Cthulhu. When the Axis powers attempt to summon Cthulhu to win World War II, it's up to Uncle Sam and his friends to save America and the world. This is a really fun riff on the frequent Cthulhu exploitation comics that we see on Kickstarter. Not that there's anything wrong with that. They use a very retro Marvel homage style of cover art design, homaging the 25th anniversary cover frames with all the characters around the edges, which falls right into my wheelhouse in terms of when I was collecting comics as a teenager. Very highly stylized interior art, color, and composition that's really fun to look at. Has an initial funding goal of $500 and end date of February 21st, estimated delivery in July. It's a 32-page comic with a lowest digital tier price of $10 and also a lowest print tier price of $10 plus shipping. Up next, Always Punch Nazis Omnibus by Ben Ferrari. This project collects the 3 anti-Nazi anthologies that changed the face of an industry. This satirical anthology tells stories inspired by an evil that, although defeated during World War II, continues to fester today. This one has an initial funding goal of $5,000 with an end date of February 19th, estimated delivery in June. Doesn't specify the number of pages in the comic, but the lowest digital tier price is $15, the lowest print tier price is $50. Has a bare bones logo-only cover art design, which is an outlier for comics that we see on Kickstarter, but not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a design choice and one that I kind of like. Has solid interior art, color, and composition across a variety of styles, this being an anthology. Then we have a unusual type of comic for Kickstarter land. Dead Nipples, Living Scars by Wacky Doodle Devin. A collection of art and comics exploring thoughts and feelings from pre to post top surgery. Great for anyone who wants to better understand why people want to spend $7,000 on an elective surgery. Education so funny you don't realize you're learning. This has an initial funding goal of $614 with an end date of February 19th, estimated delivery in August. 40 pages. Lowest digital tier price of $13, lowest print tier price of $15. Very simple, effective cover art and design, minimalist yet in my opinion, expert level interior art, color, and composition. Devin just knows how to make a comic. It's not your typical art style. It's a little more indie/underground in terms of the art style. But there are lessons being taught here from a first person's perspective that I think are worth reading about. And the creative level here, the expertise of the craftsperson here is high enough that you're getting a legit, really great comic in the process. And lastly, but not leastly, Grim Space, Three Little Piglians, a sci-fi fairy tale mystery by Frank Martin. Grim Space continues to expand as Shelley Holmes and the Beanstalk crew investigate the destruction of the Piglian mayor's brick house. Grim Space is a sci-fi fantasy mashup series that takes classic fairy and folk tales and reimagines them in a Star Wars-esque universe. So this is a super cool concept, very fun, with very straightforward cover art and design, really great interior art, color, and composition, really professionally produced book. Has an initial funding goal of $333 with an end date of February 7th. Estimated delivery in April. It's a 40-page comic, so there's a lot of story and art here. With a lowest digital tier price of $8, lowest print tier price of $21, maybe a little on the high end, but not by much. And I think it's worth checking out. You can use both hands to count the number of recommended comics that dropped on Kickstarter this weekend, but you'll be one short, or at least most of us will. You lucky ducks with polydactyly are always one or two up on the rest of us. That's a really good set of launches that heralds the arrival of some awesome comics in the near future. And we all need to appreciate the span of genres too, from all ages adventure to horror to western to slice of life to crime to the absurd. Days like these cement my love for the Kickstarter comics marketplace and boost my confidence that it is a cornerstone of the future of comics.